Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Well, a couple of videos ago I said I was out of Sycamore. I said I didn't have any more pieces, but I was wrong. I found this very odd shape, and you can see I've drilled a hole in it there for my woodworm screw. I considered making a vase out of it. It's about 7 inches long and 7 inches wide, but it's three and a quarter inches thick here. I decided to go with a bowl. So let me get this mounted up on the woodworm screw and we're going to get to turning. Now this is, like I say, my final piece, and this is from Valerie, who brought me some wood several months ago now. And if it wasn't for Valerie, I have no idea where I would ever get sycamore. It's just not common around my area. But she seems to have a lead on some in her area. And I certainly appreciate it. Valerie gave me a bunch of maple as well. And something else that I've forgotten. And Valerie's quite the turner. She showed me some of her pieces that she made out of this, and they are fantastic. So thanks again, Valerie. Now, like I always do, I like to bring up my tailstock and spin the piece up and let that live center find its own place, and that's where it wants to be, right there. So we'll just lock that down. I'm going to grab my 5/8 inch freshly sharpened bowl gouge, get my mask and face shield on, and we're going to get to making this a bowl. Now the piece is out of balance, so we can only get up to about 700 RPM for a little bit. Should be able to pick the speed up a little later. I'll go ahead and pick the speed up now. Oh yeah, it's 1400. I think I hear it crack. Yeah. I'm going to fill this with CA here. I think I'm going to lose this. So I'm going to fill these 2 or 3 cracks here. I'll be right back. Okay, that's been drying about 5 minutes, probably about ready to go, but I'm going to go back to work on my bottom here for a minute because I'm trying to establish a place for a tenon, and as you can see, I don't have a place here. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit. Well, I don't think we're quite there, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. But I still don't have a base. So I probably need to go a little bit more. You know, 2/3 of a base. 3/4 maybe. Guess it's going to be a shallow bowl. I might have lost that piece I glued back. It is gone. But we have a base. So that's something. So now we'll work on finalizing this tenon. Out of several pieces of this sycamore that I've turned, I think this is the first one that even has flaws like this, and it's a little punky here and there. I'm kind of surprised, but it's okay. We'll get through it. Let's work on this tenon. Now I'm just going to take this diamond point tool and square up the sides of the tenon. I'm just going to take this same diamond point and just make a little indentation here. The wrong tool, but it'll get it done. And that'll give me a reference point when we turn it back around after hollowing it out for my live center. Okay, well, I see I got a little swirl here. Let me fix that, and then it'll be time for, you guessed it, sanding. Okay, I'm starting at 120 grit. I'll work up through 400 grit. I'll alternate between reverse and forward. And I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on here. Well, this piece is just whipping right along. We'll be done in no time, won't we? The sanding went really well, even with all these jagged edges, which I think are going to really serve to enhance this piece. It's not quite exactly what I had in mind. It's going to be more shallow than I had in mind, but that's because I had to have a base. So I just had to take it up a little further than I expected. But as always, this is just beautiful grain. Some spalting in there. Looks pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with it. And I am putting on Howard Feed and Wax. It's turning out to be my finish of choice, at least during the winter months. I do like to use sanding sealer and shellac a lot, but they take longer to dry. They're shinier, and typically on a piece like this, a small piece, I do tend to like it to be shiny, but we're going to settle for semi-gloss. Is kind of what you get out of this. This is what the bottle looks like. I don't get anything for this. I buy this stuff. I get it at Home Depot. And one of the other good things about it is it's cheap. I think it's $7 or $8 for a bottle like that, and it lasts, well, depends on how much you use it, of course. I would say I've had that for more than a year, and I use it quite a bit. I often get asked if I put on 2 or 3 coats of it or what. I've tried that. I've tried multiple coats. I don't see any difference whatsoever. So now I just put on one. I put it on really well, and I put it on kind of heavy, and then I just call it good. Doesn't seem to matter. So I'm going to let that set for about 20 minutes, come out and buff it up, turn it around, and then it'll be time to hollow it out. Getting exciting. Well, the polishing is done, and this piece is already quite thin. And there's a problem, of course. It's about a quarter, well, it's less than a quarter of an inch thick along this edge right here and out this way. The problem is this crack and these 2 cracks. And what I did is I took it off the woodworm screw, set it upright like this, and put the glue in this way so that it would run down here and I'd have a chance to wipe it off real quick, and I did that, and it turned out pretty good. But that crack, you can actually see through there. See the light through there? I can anyway. You may not be able to. And it stops about here, which doesn't leave me much. And then there's another crack over here, which I don't think is much of a problem. And then this crack here, it actually came, I put the glue there and it came through here as well. So I'm going to have to be particularly careful with this. So let's get it mounted up on the tenon. And as I always like to do, I just barely tighten that chuck, tighten the chuck jaws. And then I like to drive it into the chuck so that it's well centered and well seated, and then I tighten it up. And we won't use any tailstock support for this. It's a pretty small piece, 7 inches, and it's only about 2 inches thick at this point. So let me sharpen up my gouge, get my tool rest in place, and we're going to get to turning the inside of this Sycamore bowl. We'll be turning at 1750 RPM. I'm going to see if I can't scrape that. Man, that's thin. But it scraped up okay, so we'll continue on down from there. Looking good. Wow, that was quick. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding by using my Sandoflex on this natural edge. I just want to clean it up and smooth it out a little bit. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Just feels better. Still looks about the same, just cleaner and smooth now. Boy, even that I'm going to have to be really careful. I can hear the sound of that coming by. I don't want to grab off more than I can chew. So I'm starting at 100 grit on the inside here. And I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on here. Well, I had to be careful, but the sanding was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. And that pleases me. Boy, this is perhaps the thinnest piece I've ever done. And sanding it, of course, my thinking was, oh man, I'm going to sand right through it. But I didn't. And what was it? This wing over here. This is surprisingly strong. It doesn't even wiggle, and I thought it would. It did before I glued it, but it's holding up okay now. So I'll let this dry, just like the outside, for 20 minutes or so. Come back out, buff it up, and then it'll be time to turn it around and remove that tenon. We're getting so close. So, see you back here in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood on a woodworm screw with some non-slip material on it. And then I'm just going to place the bowl over that and bring up the tailstock. And I do still have that little hole for reference. Now I can only apply gentle pressure because this is so thin. And sometimes when you can't apply much pressure, the bowl, the piece you're trying to remove the tenon from, can jump out of here. so we don't want that to happen. But if I apply too much pressure, it's going to crack the bottom. So it's just kind of finding a happy medium. And speaking of happy, I'm not. It's cold out here, baby. It's about 38 degrees. Got my little heater running. Grab a 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge and start removing that tenon. I do want to see, let's check for clearance. I don't want to have to remove much of this around the tenon. There's actually clearance there, which kind of surprises me. It's barely there, but it's there. So let's see how true we're turning here. Pretty good. Turn the speed up around 700 RPM and just start removing that tenon. I'm going to be gentle. It's going to go slow. Okay, so now I'm grabbing a 3/8 inch swept back grind so that I can get in here tighter, but I need to raise up my tool rest just a touch. One thing you don't want to do is get under this, because that'll pop it right out of there. Okay, then I'm going to slow the speed down. We were at about 700, now we're going to be at about 200. And I'm just going to continue working that away. Okay, so now I'm just going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Fairly heavy pressure, but not too heavy. And I'm just going to, with my right hand on the gouge, I'm just going to push that right in there. Left hand's on the switch. When that little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Like that. Success. Whew. And I'll just take it over here to the workbench and sand that up. Well, here it is. One Sycamore super thin bowl in the books. This thing is thin, I'm telling you. Especially over here. Really thin. And I don't know if you can see light through there. I can. Bottom finished up pretty good. Lots of spalting. I don't think this thing weighs an ounce. It just doesn't weigh anything. But it's I'm really happy that this wing here is very stable. Might not look like it, but it is. Doesn't wiggle a bit. That's thin. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly, I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. Your comments are always welcome, and I respond to all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.